We have been talking about margin. We started off last week, and we're going to be in the book of Ephesians today, chapter 5. This is the second week of this series called Margin, and today we're talking about scheduling margin. Everybody say scheduling margin. Scheduling margin. And as we get into it, let me just ask you a few questions. How many of you would say, if I had more time, that would be awesome? Raise your hand. If you had more time, that would be awesome. Okay, good. And everybody 100%. How many of you would say, I would love to have more time to spend with the people that I love? Raise your hand if that would be you. Right? Now, to make sure you're raising your hand if the person you love is next to you, because they're going to elbow you, right? If that's not the case. All right, how many of you would love to have more time to spend with God? Raise your hand if you want more time with God. Yes, and raise them up high. Come on, let me see those hands. Yes, good. In reality, most of us would love to have more time to invest in these important things, right? The people we love, our families, more time with God. But if the truth were to be known, if you actually had more time, if God just said, poof, there's 25 hours in a day, it is very unlikely that most of us would actually spend our time doing those things that we just said are important to us. The reality is that culture has a way of overwhelming whatever margin we have. I mean, if you just look at the last time, maybe you had a day off. I don't know if you can remember that far back, that you didn't expect, you had a day off you didn't expect. Chances are pretty good that you didn't spend 8 glorious hours in the presence of God, right? Chances are pretty good that what you did is you ran some errands. You caught up on some chores. You got ahead at work maybe. You caught up on some emails or just getting back to people, phone calls. Or you sat in front of a TV watching the whole season of a show that you love, right, that you've missed. Chances are there were many things that felt urgent to you, that overwhelmed you, and instead you chose those things over what you truly consider important. It's just kind of the way that life is sometimes. It's a little bit like this. I don't know if any of you have ever driven a car whose wheels are out of alignment. Anybody ever driven a car like that? Yeah? So my car, actually, I just had an accident a couple weeks ago, and they hit my front fender, and so my steering is off right now. So if you've ever been in a car like that, as you're driving, if you let go of the wheel for just a second, what happens? It kind of goes to one side, right? Whatever side is out of alignment. The car just naturally pulls to one side. And if you don't consistently fight it while you're driving, the pull will take you off center, right, to the side. And in reality, all of us, we are out of alignment by nature to God. By nature, we are sinners, and the pull is always away from God, towards this culture. In reality, culture pulls us off center into a life that does not have margin, in a marginless lifestyle. And if you missed last week, you might be saying, well, what is margin? What are you talking about? Let me just give you a working definition for this series as we are talking about having margin in the major areas of our life. So you might want to write this in your bulletin. So our definition is this. Margin is the amount available beyond what is necessary. It's right up there on your screen. The amount available beyond what is necessary. In other words, it's the difference between what you have and what you need. The difference between what you have and what you need. In our scheduling lives, margin would be having more than enough time, right? It would be having extra time. It would be having time to help someone who is in need without wigging out, right? Oh my gosh, I don't really have time to help you right now because I have places to be. I need to go. Margin would be having time to listen to our children and not working in our minds while they're talking to us, right? Margin would be having time to be interrupted and be glad about it. And I'm so glad I could be here to help you. That is margin. Margin would be having time to rest and to relax and to reflect. Margin is having a great amount of time with the people that you love, right? Especially on days like today. Not always fighting because we just can't seem to connect intimately. Margin is having plenty of quality time. Everybody say quality time.
Quality time.
With our God. Our God, the creator and sustainer of this universe. Time, quality time with him. Margin, for most of us, is the very thing that we do not have. Can you agree with me on that? Ephesians chapter 5, verses 15 is the verse that I will hope will kind of establish where we're going today. And here's what scriptures say. Would you help me out in reading this first part? It says, let's say it together. Ready? Be very careful then how you live, not as unwise, but as wise, making the most of every opportunity. Let's leave it there. Be very careful, because if you are not very careful, you need to understand that there is a pull away from the most important things to the lesser important things of this world, of our lives. Fight against the pull of culture. Fight against it. That's what God is telling us. The default stance, what we normally do, is not wise. It is foolish. It's the opposite of wise, right? And so God says, be very careful then how you live, how you plan, what you say yes to, and what you say no to. Be very, very careful to fight against the pull of this culture. Because we just went over, right? The culture says, do everything and anything that you think is, at the moment, it's urgent. It's got to be taken care of. But we are missing out on the more important things of life. And the verse goes on to say, making the most of every opportunity, because why? The days are evil. They are going to pull you off center. Life is going to try and pull you away from the most important things. And so God says, make the most of every opportunity, because the days are evil. It says, therefore, do not be foolish, but understand what the Lord's will is. I think it's pretty straightforward, right? Be very careful. Be very careful how you live. Our culture will drag you away from the things that you say are most important, and will give you a life that has no margin. And you will find no meaning in the remedial things that take us and consume us. Pastor Andy Stanley wrote a book, a really good book, I recommend it. It's called The Best Question Ever. And the one question that really captures the essence of this book is one that I believe is so important when it comes to our scheduling, because we're talking about scheduling margin. You got to schedule it. And for example, if I said to you, hey, can you do such and such next Saturday? Chances are most of you would kind of go on your phones and you look at your calendar and you say, well, am I free? Well, if I'm free, then I can do it. And so you ask, the question that you ask yourself is, am I free? It's not a bad question, but it's not the best question, okay? Or you might say, hey, can you do such and such next Saturday? You might say, well, is this the right thing to do, or is it the wrong thing to do? So since it's not the wrong thing to do, well, yeah, I guess I'll do it because it must be right. But I want to give you a better question to ask when it comes to our scheduling. It's not whether it's right or wrong. It's not whether I am free or not on that day. But a better question to ask would be this: is it wise? In fact, I gave you guys a little piece of paper, and it says on that piece of paper, in light of blank, is it wise? And I would encourage you, just take a moment and fill that in when you are making decisions about your schedule, to fill in the blank with whatever is important in your life right now. It could be, in light of my future hopes and dreams, is it wise to be adding this thing right now? In light of my current family situation, it could be in light of the fact that my marriage is not where God wants it to be. Is it wise to be taking and adding something else onto my schedule? Or in light of the fact that we have 2 children in diapers right now, is it wise to maybe have a 3rd child? In light of the fact that we are in debt and can't afford these things, is it wise to be buying and adding on some other things onto our debt? Or maybe for you is in light of the fact that we have a 17-year-old in our house who only has 1 year left in our household before they go off to college. Is it wise to be taken out of the home for this right now? In light of the fact that our days are numbered, God says our days on this earth are numbered. The Bible says in James, your life is a mist that appears for a little while and then vanishes. In light of the fact that our lives are so precious and short and that every day is a gift from God, in light of that fact, is it wise that we invest our time in the things that we are investing our time in right now? Because we add so much to our schedule. We say this is important, and we say that's important, and we consider this a priority, and we consider that a priority. And all of these things are priorities, and everything is number one, but we got to do it all, and everything cannot be done. There has to be a true priority in our lives. And God says and wants us to schedule margin. He says, be very careful then how you live each day. Is it wise? Not is it right or is it wrong? Or am I free or am I busy? But is it wise? Be very careful then how you live. Not as unwise, but as wise. Making the most of every opportunity. Sometimes they're passing us by. And so, all right, so how do we schedule wisely? So that's what we're going to get into. What I want to do is try to answer the question, is how do we schedule margin wisely? Because I would argue that most of us are scheduling our lives very foolishly rather than wisely. I will give you just one very simple statement. The answer to the question of how do we schedule wisely is this. We must learn and have the courage and faith to say no. Everybody say it with me. That short little word, two-letter word. Everybody say it. 1, 2, 3. No. We have to say no to many good things so that we can say yes to the best things. Are you with me? Help me out. What are we going to say no to? We're going to say no to the many. To say yes to the very. Yes. To the best things, because too many good things quickly become the enemy of the best things. Be very careful then how you live, not as unwise, but as wise. And you know what I'm talking about. It's good things, right? We talked about last week about Martha and Mary. You know, Martha was distracted, and she was doing some good things. She was cleaning the house. She was getting things ready for Jesus. She was preparing a meal. She wanted everything to be perfect at home. But God says, Jesus said that Mary had done the better thing, the best thing. And so we're going to read in Romans chapter 2, it tells us this. It says, do not conform any longer to the pattern of this world, to the pull of this culture. But it says, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Change the way that you think. Don't think like everyone else does. Don't be pulled off center like everyone else is being pulled. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind. And then it says you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will. God's word is just so rich, isn't it? When you are not conformed to the patterns of this world. When people tell me, you know, Riza, you're a little bit weird. I'm like, yes, I love it. I love to be weird. Because whenever I'm normal, that means I'm being pulled toward the culture of this world. And I don't want to be like the rest of this world. I want to be weird. I want to be different. I want to continue to be transformed in my mind. Because when I'm pulled by the culture of this world, I'm off center. But you see, the closer I am toward God, the more different I am than the culture of this world. Are you following me? The closer I am to the heartbeat of God, the more differently we live and invest our time than so many other people. Gotta be different. It says don't conform to the patterns of this world. The pattern of this world is go, go. What's your time? How much time do you have left? It's time to go. In fact, services end at 11:15. You gotta head out the door because you got some program at 11:30. And you got to go meet off because you have another meeting. And tonight you have to watch this series because you're watching it in a group. And it's important. And then you got book club tomorrow. And guess what? You got to get the kids ready for school. And oh my God, I have to do laundry because I didn't do it for the week. And oh my God, do you hear me? I'm losing my breath. That's what the pattern of this world is. And God says, don't conform. He said, no, any longer. We have to stop conforming to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Change your mind. You know, when they say, oh man, you guys are weird. I love that word weird, right? I love to be called weird. You know, thank you. Thank you, I say, because normal is not working. You know what? It's not. What is normal in marriage nowadays? Divorce. What is normal with kids nowadays? Rebellion. What is normal in relationships? Emptiness. When it comes to scheduling, what is normal? Being overwhelmed, being overworked, being frenzied, not having time. Our hair is like out to here some days, right? Our mascara ladies, right? And you know, right? Being stressed, being miserable. We break out because we're so stressed. We're sick all the time. Being busy, and yet we are empty. Is that normal? I don't want normal if that's normal, right? I don't want to be normal. Call me weird. I don't want to conform to the pattern of this world. You know what? I ask people, anytime I meet with them, and some of you guys, I may have asked you this sometimes, when I get together, I say, hey, what's up? How's it going? And everybody, most people say, hey, I'm busy, but everything's great. How you doing? Oh man, I'm so busy, Pastor. What's going on right now? Oh, I'm super busy, really busy. I don't know the last time I've ever heard someone go, hey, how's it going? Oh man, not much going on here, just chilling. You don't hear that, right? You'd be like, what, are you a loser? You know, everybody that's important is busy, right? How are you doing? Busy, I'm busy. I got something to do. I got someplace to be. I got a schedule. My phone is singing because I have to be at the next place. What we have to understand is that busyness does not equal productivity. There are so many people that are busy doing useless things, right? Busyness does not equal importance, folks. Can you tap the person next to you? It doesn't mean that you're important because you're busy. Can you say that to them? Yeah. And most importantly, busyness does not equal meaning. It doesn't give you meaning. In fact, I would argue that so many people are being robbed from a life of meaning, not because they are committed, but because they are overcommitted or they are wrongly committed. You're committed to the wrong things. And God says, I want to help you schedule margin. That's why I want to challenge you. I want to dare you. I want to beg you even to have the courage and the faith to say, what's that two-letter word? No. To what many others are saying yes to. So that you can say yes to the very best things, not just the good things, the best things. Just because you could do something doesn't mean that you should do it. Are you following me? Whenever I started getting more opportunities to do things, I found myself saying, how can I say no to that? It's a good opportunity. How can I say no to that? And I would go home and I'd sit with Lewin and I'd be like, how can I say no to that? And he'd be like, you just say no. And then here's how you say it. No, right? If someone asks you to do something that is not going to be the best use of your time, in light of the fact that your life is not truly pleasing God in the way it should, then the answer is no. You may say, don't I have to give a reason? No, you don't, right? No is a complete sentence, by the way. And it's a great thing. You may well have to say, well, it doesn't feel right. And no is not a fancy word. If you need to put fancy in it, maybe use it in another, use some sort of like maybe in an English term, right? No, I don't know, maybe put it in Australian. No, babe. Just whatever. But the answer is no sometimes. We have trouble saying no. We have trouble just scheduling our time in the best things that God, and we're missing out on all that God has for us. In fact, Let me just very practically tell you some things that we have decided to say no to in our family, so we can say yes to some better things. And this is different. It's weird. It's different than our culture. Lewin and I, we've been married almost 17 years. You guys, a lot of you know that. We love a nice, clean home. I mean, it's one of the things I like to come home and I like to have a nice, clean home. We really do. We like order. We like things picked up. We like things clean. It's something that both of us enjoy. Well, you know what? We have 3 kids, right? And when they were younger, they were like 3 drunk midgets, right, running around, right? And it's not very orderly, right? So we spent all day like, oh my God, we gotta do the picking up the toys, and oh, we gotta do the laundry, and we were just hectic all the time, and we just felt that we weren't enjoying each other. So we spent several years like trying to fight for perfection in our home, and so the kids, and we would have them do chores and help us out, and pick up and clean and scrub and this and that and the other. And it was kind of a losing battle because it would just like 10 minutes later, it would be back in the same boat. Anybody feel like that? Yeah, we were always frustrated. And one day, we just said, what if we chose relationships over these tasks? What if we intentionally didn't just try to have the house perfect, but we chose each other and the relationships that we have over perfection? And that's really hard for me because I'm pretty meticulous. But it's saying no to a good thing. It's good to have a clean house, but is it the best thing over just hanging out with each other? To say yes to something even better, time with the kids? And it's been one of the most life-changing decisions for us. To come home, and yeah, there's dishes some days, and there's dirty socks in the corner, which, gives me a little bit of a mini heart attack some days, but you know what? We've said, it's okay. It doesn't have to be perfect. You know what? So if you just come over and you step over a toy or a dirty sock, it's okay, right? We made a choice for something that is more important. And there's another example. The kids are here. So some of you kids are here and you're going to hate me after this. And I apologize up front. But this is something that our family chose. This is something very recent. We try to spend good time together intentionally because life is busy, right? And so we need to schedule margin and time to relax and spend with each other. But we noticed that was often not the case. We weren't being intimate and close with each other. We had in our home a kind of common distraction. Maybe some of you guys can relate to this. All of us would come home after school or after work or whatever was going on, and we'd be on our technology. Someone's Facebooking, someone is working on their laptop, someone is playing on the PlayStation, someone is using or listening to the iPod, someone's watching TV. So we have all this stuff going on at home, media, but we're all in the same place, but we're not together. Are you following me? So we made a very controversial decision in our home. It was to limit the use of technology. And so on Thursdays, everyone gets home and everything is off. There's no TV, there's no iPod, there's no Netflix, there's no Facebooking, there's no email, none of that stuff. And let me just say up front, admittedly, this was a hard decision. It was controversial in our house. We have 3 kids that totally didn't want this, right? And Justin was planning, my little guy was planning to lead a revolution over there. He's going to take over. I still sleep with one eye open just in case. But here's what happened, right? As we started to detox from this addiction to technology and from being connected, all of a sudden we rediscovered how to play board games and how to play charades and tell stories and just listen to your day, right? And read books. Sometimes we just sit, the 5 of us, and we spend some time, everybody reading their books. And we have wrestling matches, or we have shooting contests, right? And we have this intimate time. It doesn't have to be anything, like go out and spend money. We're just with each other. And we're willing to say no to what everyone else says yes to all the time. I read an article in USA Today that said the average American spends 28 hours a week watching TV. 28 hours. That's like more than 3 work days watching TV. Is that wise? Normal, yes, that's what everyone else is doing, but it's not wise. Be very careful, God says. Be very careful how you live. I don't know what it will be for you, but don't you dare say, I wish I had more time for this. I don't have time for what's important to me. That is not true. You have time for what you choose to have time for. You prioritize the things that you choose to prioritize in your life. And God says, be very careful how you live. Not as unwise, but as wise, making the most of every opportunity because the days are evil. You choose. You choose what is important and what you will spend time on. Here's what is amazing to me. Those of us that are Christians, there are two things that are phenomenally important to our success in our relationship with God. But as soon as we feel that we're busy and overwhelmed, in almost every instance, these two important ingredients are squeezed out of our lives. And you watch, as soon as you get rushed, as soon as you feel overwhelmed, Monday is coming, it's on its way, and the two most important things that we should never let go of are often the very first things to be wiped from our schedule. And what are those things? The first thing is intimate time with God. Intimate and consistent time, realigning daily with our Creator, with the one who nurtures and feeds our soul. Our hearts become out of alignment. Daily, we realign our hearts with the Word of God, with His truth and with His presence. Jesus said in Matthew 6:33, He says, but seek first, number one, the kingdom of God and His righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well when you seek Him first. A lot of you are going to say, well, that's really good for you, preacher lady. You work on Sundays, right? We don't know what you do the rest of your week. So you have time to have time with God. We live in the real world, lady, I don't have time to have time with God. I would argue all day long that you don't have time to not have time with God. Because when you seek Him first, all of the things that you are wanting, that you are yearning for, they will come to you, but you've got to seek Him first. You seek Him first, and the rest of your day is going to be aligned to the heartbeat of God. And you will choose to say no to some things because you realize that they are lesser. You want what is best. You want God's best. You want His best for you. We need to separate time every Sunday, not just once a month. We got to separate time, We got to be consistent. Not when we feel like it, not when I'm desperate, I come to church. But we got to spend time with God. Separate time with Him. The first day of the week. Sherry said earlier, the first day of the week is Sunday. So come to church every Sunday. Be with God. Learn from Him. Put Him first. And the rest, all the other things are going to be added on to you. I will give you a good example of margin, especially today on Mother's Day. And here's a tip for you dads, right, and kids. First of all, we know how busy moms are running the household, cleaning, cooking, working outside the home and inside the home, taking care of many things, right? And this was a decision we took a couple years ago. If you have financial margin, one of the best things that you can do is bring someone else into your house to take care of the things that someone else can do to free you up to do other things. I'll give you an example in just a little word. And I'm going to give you a little tip, guys, dads, right? If you want to make your wife really happy, if you have financial margin, you can hire someone to relieve her of her housework maybe once a month, right? And so she can start taking care of some more important things, right? Amen, ladies? Are you going to say amen to that? Oh, yeah. Oh, that was weak. So you don't want somebody to clean your house? I was like, oh, yeah, babe. You're the man. Thank you, Jesus. Yes. And so once a month, I have somebody come in, and I don't have to, that's time, that extra time that I have. I don't go and binge watch, Law and Order, SVU or something. I go and spend time with my kids. Sometimes I go out on a date with my son, or I'll go to the mall with my daughter, and I'll just spend time with the things that are important, the better things. You know what? The household chores can wait, right? But we got to free ourselves up. We got to schedule margin. And so we can do these things. I made a list. of the things that I do when I'm freed up, all right? I maintain our house physically and administratively, financially, and otherwise. I take care of Lewin and 3 kids who are very involved in school and sports and music. I serve our church, I prepare sermons, I do all the follow-up, I call, I meet with people, I counsel, I email, I text, I set up meetings, I prepare for the future, I sometimes decorate the church, I clean the church, I generate ideas for growth, I hire people, I serve as regional superintendent for 8 other churches in Massachusetts and Rhode Island. I oversee the pastors and those on their way to be ordained as pastors. I organize things around opening or starting new churches. We actually have one in Everett that's starting up and one in Waltham that is coming. They're Spanish and African churches. I volunteer my time as well in many other different capacities like Meals on Wheels and other local organizations. I mentor other female professionals, and I'm starting something similar through the Free Methodist Church. I'm involved in the editing and production of a Christian magazine. It's right up there, called Light and Life. I teach and I preach at many local and national events. I travel locally and nationally. And I am still productive, and I still have margin. So if you were to be going through a situation sometime in your life and you say, Pastor, I need to speak with you, I'm not going to be like, you know what, I'm too busy. Because I have margin to schedule in my life. And people ask me, well, how are you doing all of these things, Pastor? Something has got to give. You want me to give you the secret? My secret is this. I give the first part of my day to God. Some people say, how do you have time for that? I say, I don't have time not to do that. Because when I don't do it, as soon as I get going, as soon as I get out of my bed, if I don't spend time with God, I am overwhelmed. Did you hear my list of things? When I spend time with God, oh boy, I can conquer the world. Yes! Bring it on! God is with me. And you know what? There are days that I have things on my schedule, and God says, I don't want you to do that. And I'm okay with it, because I know He's got something better. And I'm looking for those opportunities because I'm scheduling them. Are you following me? I realign my heart to the Heavenly Father's heart. And during the day, I'm more sensitive to the things I should do, not the things that I'm supposed to do or I'm scheduled to do. When there are distractions that are not from God, I can easily say no. When there are interruptions that are obviously from God, it's easy for me to tell, and I say, oh, this is from God. I'm in this. I'm doing this. And I have margin. I can say yes. I have margin to do it. I am secure in who I am. I don't need to say yes to invitations to help me feel good about myself, to have you like me, because some days you're not going to like me. You're not going to like what I'm saying to you, because I need to pastor you. I need to shepherd you. But I am secure in who I am in Christ. And if God says for me to say something, I'm going to say it. Last week I asked you to spend 5 minutes just being in the presence of God. This week I want to challenge you to double it. Make it 10. Go to 10 minutes of your first time with God, first minutes of the day. Open up God's Word this week, daily. First thing, and just take it in. Read it, realign your heart to the things of God, and watch as the rest of your day, things are going to be more productive and more in place because you have sought first the Father of all things. The second thing, if you're taking notes very quickly, very few of us call or have time for what I call intentional time of rest. Intentional time of rest. God says, come to me, all of you who are weary and burdened, those who are overwhelmed and overworked, those who are hurting, those who are broken, those who are single parents and do not think you can make it another day, those who are business owners and you're weary and burdened. And what does God say He will give you? He says, I will give you rest. Come to me, I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon me and learn from me. For I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. The very thing that many of us do not have, rest in our souls. But we got to come to him. He says, come to me. He doesn't say program rest into your life. He says, come to me. He doesn't say schedule the rest into your life. He says, come to me and I will give you rest. Most of us, when we get busy, when we lose margin, we feel like we can't afford to take a day of rest. Did you know that God worked 6 days when he created the world, and on the seventh day, what did he do? He rested. One of the 10 commandments, thou shalt honor the Sabbath, right? Take a day of rest. In the Old Testament, if you read, God said you work the land for 6 years, and on the 7th year, you don't plant, right? You cannot plant and you cannot harvest. You give the land time, a year of rest. You think anybody would do that nowadays in businesses? Oh no, ain't no way, no how, right? We have to make money. We have to get produce. And God is saying, you don't understand. If you work the land 6 years and give it a year off, you will produce more in those 6 years than you would in that adding a 7th year. It's a principle of faith. Everybody say faith. Faith. And here's the deal. As we get ready to respond, as we close out today, most of you think that you are too busy, that you're too important to truly take a day of rest. You know, Pastor, Sundays, I got to catch up before the week starts. And that's why I can't be here every Sunday, you know? I'm too busy. By the way, the day of rest is the first day of the week. It's Sunday. And by resting, it doesn't mean to stay home lounging or preparing or doing chores. How about, again, the people of God coming to the house of God and offering praise to God and receiving your instruction for the week from our awesome God on the first day of the week? You have no idea how important I am, you say. You have no idea how busy my week is going to be. If I don't do this, I'm not going to have time. And what are you saying? You're saying that God's principles aren't true? You don't truly believe that to rest will make you more productive and more spiritually healthy? I would argue that maybe it's an issue of faith. It's one of the most important things to go. Our culture is like, yeah, I've gone a whole year without a vacation. I'm so awesome. Yeah, right. That's real smart. Yeah, you go, buddy. Let me ask you this. Those of you that are Christians, do you think it's wise to neglect time with God daily? Do you think it's wise to not honor God with one of his top commandments where he says to rest? And that is why we take Sunday, this day of the week, to rest. And one of the most spiritual things you can do is rest. And if we truly honor God and we set a holy day, the first day of the week, Sunday, free of work, investing in relationships, getting to know and drawing closer to God, he says he will give us rest. We come to him. Here's the deal. You don't think you have time for these important things. And the reality is you don't have time for the most important things because you're out of alignment with God. You're being pulled away from center. And God says today, will you realign your life? Will you find time with me? Will you put me first once again? And will you come to me and just rest? Or maybe you just want to be you want to keep being stressed out. I challenge you today. God is asking us today to examine ourselves, to press the reset, to realign our lives so that we can schedule life. Would you sing to your feet, please?